Alright, welcome back. We're up to part 6 of the Dora railway gun build. I just got a lot of little things to show you in this video. I haven't started putting anything together yet. Well, matter of fact, I did put together a couple little things. But yeah, I'm going to show you where I'm at and what I'm trying to get accomplished as far as putting some of this stuff together, and some problems I found with the directions that I wasn't happy with. I think they could have done a better job on their directions, because I think if you do it the way they're doing, then you're going to run into some problems because you're trying to paint parts and then you got more parts got to go on after you paint it. So I'll discuss all that in a minute. I don't know if a lot of guys notice, but I got to put away. But when you're painting small parts, you like to stick them on. Let me get one here. You like to put your parts on these little sticks, okay, and then paint them. And then you take this little stick and stick it in a piece of styrofoam or something like that to hold it while it dries. Well, what I've got is a small piece of styrofoam, oh, maybe 8 inches by 6 inches square. All right. Well, there's 80 wheels. There's not enough room. So, as fate would have it, a couple weeks ago we had some bad storms up here. I think it rained for 9 days straight, and a couple of those days we had some high winds. So I was standing in the kitchen looking out the back window, and I looked in the yard and I thought, what the heck is that? So I went out there and I found a big old chunk of styrofoam. Looks like the lid off of a cooler. Okay? Nice big old piece. Now how lucky is that? So now I got enough room to stick all these little trees in there, small forest of parts. So I lucked out there. And then we stopped down to see the grandkids one night, and my son-in-law says, come here, I got something for you. And he comes out and he says one of his buddies was at a garage sale and gave him a call because my son-in-law collects these metal cars, NASCAR, all right? And he knows that number 24, Jeff Gordon, was my driver, which is now retired. So he had the guy pick that one up, and he picked me up an AMT model of the Jeff Gordon car, which I have to put together. So I'll be putting that in my stash. That'll come along sometime, sooner or later. Not big into cars and planes and that, but you know, this is my man. So I'll be putting that together sooner or later. Might not make a video out of it, I don't know. But I thought that was pretty cool. My son-in-law thinking about me, trying to stay on my good side. Alright, so I think that's about it. We're going to get the camera turned around here. I know I got about another 40-45 minute video. So I'm trying to keep it short. So I'll show you where we're at. Enough talk, let's get to it. Okay, so here we are. I know I talked about this once before, but I don't remember when. I think it might have been when I did the open box. But here's a view of the gun. And I'm going to treat this as if it was 5 separate models. Okay, now I already did the base. That was number 1. Now I'm going to work on these rail cars and these bridges between the rail cars. Now there's 8 rail cars, 4 on each end, and then there's 4 bridges that go between the rail cars, 2 on this side and 2 on this side. So that'll be my next step. And when I get that done, then I'll go to building this larger bridge. Okay, that'll be step number 3, model number 3. Then from there I will go to the gun and all its support and its breech and everything. That'll be model number 4. And then all this back here, the control room and all this will be model number 5, if that's what you want to call it. So I believe that's the best way to go at this, because I'll show you why in just a second. All right, now I was having a little problem here trying to understand some of this. I figured it out, you know, but they had all these. This is the color call out sheet, this whole big old thing is. All right, and the colors are over here on the side. But I was wondering, what were all these little numbers down here on the bottom? Well, those are decal numbers. Those are where my decals go, and they're pointing them out. So I figured that out, but I'm going to show you a problem I got with that. All right, so let me reset the camera, and we'll get to the directions and show you some problems I found and things I think they could have done a little better. If the camera starts jerking around, it's because I got Molly down here and she's being nosy. All right, so let me reset everything. Okay, so I told you my next step, and I'm following along with the directions. There was the base. Now I'm going in to the rail cars. Okay. Quite a few pages of this. Yeah, there's starts at step 2 and kinda, and I say kinda, ends at step 6, and that will be the rail cars and the bridges that go between the rail cars, which are these things right here. Okay. Now, you have to be real careful here. There's 2 types of rail cars. One of them's got a slot on the end that angles down at a 45-degree angle. Let me get one of them. All right, this is the that part right there, and you can see it angles down. All right, so there's 4 of these, and then there's 4 of these that have like wood on them, fake wood. So what they got you going on here, 1 minute they're showing you the right side up, okay, next minute they're showing it to you upside down, and it gets a little confusing. All right, now one of the problems I got with this is when you start putting your wheels together and you bring all this together, they don't want you putting any cement on these wheels. They want these wheels to be able to roll. Well, that's a no-no for me. I am not getting this thing all together, putting it on that base, and then say, it's going to take 2 guys to pick it up and move it and have that model roll on that base. Okay? I'm not going to have this thing movable on here. You know, one guy picks it up the wrong way and that thing starts going, you know, there's going to be no stopping it, and there's nowhere to grab it to stop it. So I'm not going to do that. I don't know why they even would want you to do that. So I'm going to affix my wheels solid, so that will keep that model from moving around at all. I don't see no need for it to move. Okay, I mean, you can assemble this thing when it gets all done, and assemble it just by, you know, setting wherever this has to go and then setting this part down into the slots. It's not important to me that them wheels roll, so I'm not going to do that. All right, now then you go to the next page, and they have you assembling the other 4 carts, like I said. Now here comes the part where I get, I think they're screwing up. And let me get up here to it. Okay. They show you putting some of this stuff together. All right, there's a box here that goes on top of this rail car. Now you get all the bridge all together and your photo etch, that's photo etch that goes on there, and you get it all assembled and you're ready to paint. And you want to paint it as a unit, all finished up, okay? Then you come along way up here in step number 20, okay? Now all of a sudden you start finding other things that go on to this here, okay? There's a little piece right there, which I've already got on here. It's not glued, but I got it on there, okay? And there's another piece here that goes on one of these, okay? Then you get over here next to it on the bridge section, and there's two boxes go on this end. Well, I should say four boxes. Four boxes go on this end of the thing, and two boxes go on this end. Now you would think you would want that on there as you're building this so you can paint it as a unit, okay? And that's the way I'm going to treat it. One of the reasons is these parts here that go in here don't fit real good, okay? So you have to come along with your knife and open up this little gap in this wood planks here to get these parts to fit down in there good and solid, all right? So if I would go ahead and do this the way they say and have this all painted, then I got to come along and try and put these things on way up in step 20. Now all of a sudden I'm trying to cut out that part, open up these lines with this thing all put together, trying to handle it, and I have to scrape, you know, off some of that paint so that I can get two parts to glue together. So I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble as much of these cars as I can, and that means skipping all this stuff, jumping up to section 20 and attaching these things. This little, I think it's some type of winch right there, these boxes, and getting all that on there so when I go to paint it, it can be painted as one unit. Now, there's also railing that goes on here, which is on the next page. Okay? You got all this railing they want you to put on here. And that goes on these bridges. Okay? After you assemble all these things, it goes on these bridges. So there's 1, 2, 3, how many is it? 4, 8, yeah, there's 4 here on this end, there's 4 on the other end. So there's 16 sections of railing all have to go on here. And I think I might just go ahead and do that also on this part. So when I go to paint it, I got the railing and everything already on there and can paint it. I don't think it's going to hurt to come along and set this big section here, this thing, down on top of this when it comes time, okay? I think I can get it in there around that railing. I got one part I was looking at right here. I'm going to probably have to hold off on that because it looks like it might go on either side of one of them railings. So I might have to hold off on that part until I get this on and then glue that part on. So I'm a little upset with the directions that they don't have you assembling this thing complete before you get up here and then all of a sudden find out, oh man, now I got more parts to paint and try and get on there. And you have to be very careful about the photo etch, see? And I'll show you why in a second. Molly, hey, leave my cord alone. She's still gnawing on stuff. Leave my plug alone. Hey. So I'll show you in a minute here what I'm talking about. But yeah, I have to be very careful because of the way I'm doing things. that I make sure I get the right piece of photo etch, I get the right section here, everything in the right spot. Hold on, Molly, come here, get over here. Getting a hold of my electric cord. All right, so let me show you where I'm at right now. I'll get the camera reset again and show you what I'm up to. You're gonna be, I was blown away with this. All right, so hold on a second. Okay, so here we are. All this and all of this, if you can see them. This is all the parts that it's going to take to put these 8 rail cars together and 4 bridges. 80 wheels, axles, springs, I don't even know if they're showing up on the camera, and other little parts. All right, are you ready for this? So far, if you count the railing, let me see here where I'm at. If you count the railing and all these parts, I've got 474 pieces to put together. All right. So I thought it would be much easier for me to go ahead and just cut all the parts off. Okay. Get them all sanded down, get all the little, where the, injector things are, all the little pieces you have to trim off, and sand down. Spent days doing this. I sat up in front of the TV at the coffee table one night, just messing with the wheels and the axles and the springs and stuff. That was 2 nights, just sitting there, sanding everything down. So by doing it this way, it makes it more difficult to try and assemble this, because I have to pay real close attention to what part is what. Because if you can see, this has got little notches here where the steps go, and everything has to go a certain way. Okay, so I have to pay real close attention to that. Instead of sitting there, well, let's build this one and just cut the parts off and put it together. Because you can see, I got over here, this is part 3, this is part 10, this is part 4, and this is part 14. Okay, so it's going to make it a little more difficult for me, but I think in the long run it'll go much faster because all the parts are prepped and ready to go. Okay, especially this stuff here. Can't remember which one it was. I think there was 32, and I got to be real careful with these because I can't lose these. Let me get a piece of thing here. There were 32 of these little things right here. Let me get behind the camera and see if that's showing up. You see it? It's right there. I think there was 32 of those, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember now, but I think that's an accurate count. And they are so small, and you have to trim off, the junk stuff. And I actually, not these, but another one, I broke 2 of them just trying to take my sanding stick and just go over it to smooth it down. Finally, I decided you can't do that. You have to take your knife and do precision cuts to get that junk off of there. But yeah, you go through all them, then all these little stars I had to trim all these out. I forget how many of those. There's I think 4 to a railroad car. But it's going to take me a little while but I think I'll go much faster by doing it this way. I just have to be super careful on which way everything goes together, because this photo etch, and I know it's not going to show up, this photo etch has got two small holes in it right here, okay, where one of these boxes will fit. Okay, so I have to make sure that's in the proper position. But this here is almost, I would say, almost a week's work. Just getting everything prepped and ready to go. 474 pieces, and that's including the railing. I haven't even trimmed the railing off yet to get that on, but I believe I will go ahead and set that railing on there before I paint. I want to get the train car completely assembled before I paint. All right, so let me reset the camera and show you another problem I found with their directions. Hold on. All right, here we are back to the directions. Now, you're building your bridge, okay, that go between the railroad cars, okay. And remember I showed you over here on this page, all these little numbers down here are for decals. Well, they did a real nice thing here. They show you where all the decals go on these bridges, okay. This is real nice, you know. I can see what it is, see the number, kind of make out what that decal looks like, and get them on there in their proper position. All right. Now, here's the railroad cars. Okay. Here's the railroad cars all finished. Right here. They also get decals all down the side of them. Okay. And it shows it here on this sheet of paper. Shows decals all down the sides of those. There's no call out here in the directions for where they go, other than that sheet, which is very hard to read. All right. So if you can do this for this section, why couldn't they make a section to show me where them decals go all down along the sides of these? So now I got to try and figure that out from looking at this thing right here. And let me tell you, let me get this up close for you. I can't hardly see where they go. All right? I'm just going to have to try and wing it the best I can. But I thought that was pretty piss poor on their part, that they can give me a color or a decal call out right here for these things, but nothing for the other rail cars. What's up with that? All right, so that's 2 strikes against them right there. All right, and I think that's the only place decals go. I'd have to look. Oh no, there's some decals go on the inside here of this box. But you know, this model is a handful in itself to try and put together. Now I got to screw around trying to figure them decals out. All right, but one thing for certain, I think these cars ought to go together pretty fast. Like I said, since I got all the parts cut, trimmed up, and everything ready to go, I think they should go together pretty fast. And I will knock out close to 500 parts or pieces, however you want to call it. All right. Now, a little problem I've got, and I'm going to have to try and figure out how to overcome it, and that is how to paint these wheels. Because, as you know, this part of the wheel here that rides on the track should be shiny. Now I thought about, once again, taking that aluminum tape and just wrapping it around that wheel. Alright? That would be no problem at all. Just wrap that aluminum tape around that wheel. Of course I got 80 of them to do. But I also have to get this little lip here shiny. So I bought some special paint for this. We're going to see how it works out. But my problem is I got 80 of these things that I have to primer, then paint the gray color, and then come along and try and get that silver color in there, and then put a seal coat on it all. So you got what? Primer, paint, the other color, and then a seal. You got 4 different layers of paint going to go on 80 wheels. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a good idea to try and stick them on this thing like this and spray them by hand like that. I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to really do it. So I still got to think about this. I'll come up with something, but I think this is what I'm leaning to. I'm going to have me a small forest. I'm not even in view. I'm going to have me a small forest of these wheels. Did you see what I was pointing at before? That little lip right there. I have to get that silver and the wheel face silver. So, and this is the part right here in the center that they don't want you to glue. They just want you to put it on there and put it all together and have them wheels freewheel. But like I said, that ain't going to happen on this model. This thing is not going to be on that base moving around. Alright, so I pretty much think that's it. Like I said, I've been a week just prepping everything, so now I'm going to get started on this. It'll probably be in the next video where I start putting stuff together and getting these things fixed up. I already got this one little box, or this winch. I said it was called a winch. I already put that together because there was 2 little wheels went on here, and one of them was longer than the other, so I put it together right away so I knew which was which. But once again, that goes on one of these cars here. Let me see which one it is. I think it goes something like this. Alright, but see, it won't fit down in there. So I have to come along and open up these gaps a little bit to get that to fit. Alright, I think that might go back here. You can see there's some spots under here where some of this stuff lines up at. But I have to open up these slots. So that's why I say I'd rather do that now before I paint it than come along in step 20 and find out, oh, now I got to put these on and then I got to try and clean that up. I think they got their directions screwed up. I don't know why they can't have you do this right now. And that's what I'm going to do. But that's one of the things you have to do on any model, really, is jump around. Look at your directions. Go through them real good. Okay? Study your directions. Go through them probably a couple times and see things like this where you're putting all these cars together and then all of a sudden 10 steps up you got more parts to go on it. And make notes, you know, like I've got all kinds of notes written in here for this thing to make sure I know what I'm doing and pay attention to how this part here goes on top of this part here, because the railings have to go on. And see, it's backwards. Here's where the steps go. That's the way it goes because there's little holes here for the railings, okay? And then, like I said, there's 2 holes there that match the 2 holes on the photo etch for this little box here, okay? like that. And there's another thing. I don't know what the idea of this is. Why they couldn't have made that in one big piece. Maybe they couldn't because of this overhang here. I don't know. But you got a piece here going on top of another piece that is identical to it. All right. I guess they couldn't make that as one unit. They had to come up and make it in two separate pieces. But oh, that's strange. I wonder why that's a round hole there and an oblong hole here. Let me look at these things. No, these are all the same. That's a round hole. That's a round male part, but that's an oblong hole and that's a round hole, so I don't know what's going on with that. That's the way it goes right there. Kind of sits on top of it, really. They really don't fit down in there. All right, well, that's something you got to pay attention to, and I'll have to look at when I get there. But yeah, you know, like I said, go through your directions. Make sure you're putting a part together. You can put as much of it together at one time so you can spray it all in one section. All right. So, all right, if I find anything else here, I'll be back. Oh, here, let me show you this. I told you the other day when I did my base that I was going to turn it upside down and see how, if I missed any ballast, if it might have, you know, fallen off because I forgot to glue that part. Well, no ballast fell off at all. I turned that whole base upside down. You know, a grain of ballast here and there, but nothing fell out. I did have a small section of the dirt, about that big. It fell off, all right? Well, I was using this one spray bottle. Let me go get it. It's on the other side of the room. Hold on. Hold on. This was my wife's spray bottle for her artwork to keep her acrylics damp. All right, and you can see this is one of them pump bottles like this. All right. It just wasn't working right. You know, it was giving me a mist, but it was also spitting out big globs of water and glue mix, you know. So the wife, we were out running around. She went into the girls' beauty supply store over here where I live. It's called Sally's. Like I told you, that's where I get all my sanding sticks from, okay? She went in there and found me a small spray bottle. Losing my voice. This has got my glue and water mix in it, okay? And you can see the glue's kind of settling out in there. But this is this type of spray nozzle, okay? And it really gives you a fine mist. And that was what I needed, to spray that dirt with a fine mist, then sprinkle some dirt on it, then spray it again to help hold it down. Whereas this was just, it was flooding it. It was giving me too much. This was perfect. So kudos to my sweet little wife for going out and getting me that little bottle with that fine mist. I think this, they had a label on it that it's used for fingernails. Now what they put in there to spray on fingernails, I don't know. But that worked out perfect. She also picked me up a little, she said they had these in there. This was like a sanding stone, okay? And I thought, hey, I'm going to give that a try on my photo etch, on that little burr. I'm going to try that out. I think that might work. Little kind of, some kind of sanding stone. But, and I've said this before, you know, you just got to shop around. just don't depend on your hobby stores and places like that, you know. I get a lot of things that I need, and they're nice stuff, you know, they come in handy from the beauty supply store. And since we're on the subject of supplies, let me reset the camera again, and I'll show you where I'm at with all my stuff I've been buying for this. All right, so hold on a minute. Okay, I was editing my video, and I was about done. I thought I was done, and I forgot a very important part. And this especially goes out to guys that are new in the modeling or starting to pick it back up again. And a lot of people already know this, but just in case, you got to take the time to dry fit your parts. All right, and here was a problem I ran into. Now here's the bridge, and it goes between, when these are assembled, will be the rail cars, okay? And this will be the inside part, okay, that goes underneath the much bigger bridge. And then this one goes down on this end, all right? So you can see there's a slot there and a slot there, and there's the male part. Now, when I first tried assembling this, I put these on there, okay, and I had to really push on it. I thought I was going to break this plastic, okay. Well, and then when I got it assembled, they weren't really lined up properly. They weren't straight, okay. So I went to take it back apart. I almost never got this apart. I had to push and pry and be careful I didn't break this webbing up here to get these apart, okay? And there it's even tight. So what I had to do is go along to each and every one of these slots and open them up just a little bit with my knife. I just took my knife, went along and scraped it, and then I took a real small sanding stick here, okay, and got down in there and sanded it. Alright, what that did was allow me to get this on there much easier. Alright, before I had to push and pry and do everything I could to get that on there. Now it goes on nice and easy. So this is a very important step for any modeler or anybody. Dry fit your parts. Because you don't want to come along and you got this all painted and you got this all painted, now you can't get them together. Or you got to push and pry and you got all kinds of little parts on here. So think about that, because I've been doing that to a lot of them. Like I said, I had problems with these pieces fitting down in between these slots. So I got to go along and open up them slots wherever them parts go. So, dry fit your parts. That's the important lesson of the day. Alright, now on to the next section, which I rudely interrupted you. And one more thing before we go on. I'm sorry I had to rudely interrupt again. You're probably looking at my hands going, oh man, what's the matter with him? Well, that's that puppy. She wants to sit on your lap, but then she wants to gnaw on your hands. Or if I'm playing with her, she likes to play tug-of-war with one of her little toys, and she'll let go and then jump at it and grab you by the hand by mistake. I got little teeth marks all around. We're trying to break her of that. Just about got her broke of it. But yeah, she's got me quite a few times, drawed some blood. Alright, on to the next part. Okay. Here's my paints, and I wanted to use this Vallejo, try this out. I see a lot of guys on the internet like it, swear by it, and because also the color call out sheet has all the Vallejo colors you would need, alright, and then you get into like the Tamiya paint, and they're missing a couple of them. Model Masters are missing a couple. Humbrol missing one. So I thought, well, I'm going to try this Vallejo. Can't get it around here. I've looked. I thought, you know, what the heck. It's just so much easier to sit there on the couch, get on your computer, and order it on the internet. Now, problem with that is you're going to pay some shipping charges, you know. But another problem I had is that this is my Field Gray by Vallejo. German Field Gray. This is the main color for the whole model. Now, I've never used an airbrush before. I've painted plenty of cars, but I've never used an airbrush. So I didn't know how much to get. So I saw this on Hobby Link, okay? And it's a 6-pack. And these are, what is it, 17 milliliters? Nope, let me see. Well, now, why won't it tell me? 17 milliliters, I guess that is 0.57 of an ounce. All right, now this, and I think something else, came from Hobby Link, because I looked around trying to find Vallejo colors on the internet, and Hobby Link seemed to have a pretty good selection. Now, I'm not in no hurry for it, but the thing is, I ordered this from them, and they got a warehouse in Atlanta, down near Atlanta, Georgia. That's about 500 miles from me. Now, I retired from trucking. I worked for a major trucking company for 35 years. In Atlanta, we had a terminal in Atlanta. And I would venture to say that 85% of the freight that came out of Atlanta here to Cincinnati, 85% of it was delivered overnight. Okay? Now, I ordered this from them down there. Came in a little small box. 9 days to get it. I even called them out on it. Oh, well, we sell cheaper than anybody, and then let's keep our costs down. What's that got to do with shipping? An order comes in, you fill it, you ship it. 9 days to get that 500 miles. You can drive it in probably 9, okay? And I was tracking it as it was going along, and this thing was going everywhere. And I thought, what the heck is up with that? So then I wanted some other paint. And I thought, well, I'm going to look around for some more. Well, I found another place called, I got it sitting here. I just had the paper. Here it is. Scale Hobbyist. Okay? And right there is their website. Scale Hobbyist. Now this is up in New Hampshire. I venture to say that's probably 1,000 miles away from me. And I ordered these 2 little bottles, some more Field Gray, because I'm kind of getting worried here. How much do I need? So now I got 8 bottles of this Field Gray. I probably got enough to do 3 models. I don't know. But I'd rather be on the safe side. So I ordered me 2 more bottles of that. And some of this, I don't know what they call it, but it's like real metal paint. Now, that one don't even look close. Let me see what they call this stuff. Alclad. Okay. So I ordered me 2 bottles of chrome and a bottle of steel. Alright. So this came about 1,000 miles away and got here within 5 days. Twice the distance, half the time. So I don't get it. I like Hobby Link. I've used them quite a few times. They just need to get their act together with their shipping process. Then I went over to the hobby store and bought me some oil. Okay, now you think what I'm going to do with this. This is black, ivory black oil. I like using oils for weathering. I think I get much better results with that. I've done it 3 or 4 times now on my models. I like oils much better for weathering. And I just bought the black because I'm really not going to rust this. There will be no rust on this because I don't think it was left out in the rain. But there is going to be some parts that get kind of grimy and greasy. So, and I like it better than this. This goes on, you know, real, you can control how thick you want this. A lot better than this stuff. So, I'll be using this oil when I go to weathering, especially around places like the springs that go on by the railroad wheels and these little things that are on the outside. I don't know what they're called. So, all right, so that's it. You know, if anybody wants to know where I got my paint, that's the number that Vallejo gives it right there. It's called German Field Gray. That's what's on the color call out. And it'd be interesting to see what it looks like. But like I said, hobby link there. Scale Hobbyist. Yep, Scale Hobbyist here and here. And the hobby store, I went over to the local hobby store and got some Vallejos, or I'm sorry, some Tamiya paints. You don't use much of this. This is like for the guns, which I put a couple of them together already. These shells, they get painted different colors. I think one of these colors on here is going to be this green, olive green. I think another color, khaki, I think is for the bags that go behind them. So, yeah, you know, get on the internet and just check it out, you know. I was pretty pleased with this. This Scale Hobbyist had quite a bit of stuff, you know, for modelers, you know. I wouldn't say a whole lot of stuff, but quite a bit. You can see it cost me $33.60 for these two and this. And that was with $9 shipping. That's what gets you. But what are you going to do? You can't find it around here, and I got no place else to get it. So, all right. So I know a lot of guys will be asking me that. $8.30 for the German Field Gray, the khaki XF49, olive green XF58. Chrome Silver X11, which I don't know if I'm going to use that. I will probably use that all clad. So, but you know what? I'm just repeating numbers that if you got the model, right there they are. They're all listed on here. So, okay, I think that's it for this section. I don't know if I got anything else. That's probably about it for this video. After last week's hour-long video, I need to put up a little bit shorter one. But yeah, in between this video and the next one, I'm going to be putting 400 and almost 500 pieces together, seeing how I do. Like I said, I hope it goes fast since I got everything cleaned up, prepped and ready to go. All right, that's it. Look at this. All curled up in a little ball down here. I threw her a towel down, get her off that concrete floor. Just looks like a little puff of black. Don't even look like a dog. She's sacked out. Molly, you want to go upstairs? Look at that. She don't even... Molly, Mama's home. You want to go upstairs? Molly, want to go outside? Want a treat? Want to go see the doctor? She is gone.